Hi, everyone. Welcome to the non-expert guide to African TV and film. Today, I have my co-non-experts, my co-hosts, Ibiami and Tolu. Y'all say hi.
Oh, hey,
hi,
folks.
y'all.
Today, we are talking to Maradona Dias Dos Santos, who is the director of SANTANA, an Angolan film that's currently streaming on Netflix. Maradona Dias Dos Santos is a British filmmaker who was born in Angola. His first feature film, SANTANA, is a gritty, action-packed tale centered around two police officer brothers seeking revenge on the cartel that killed their parents. Welcome to our show, Maradona.
Thank you very much for the invite. I'm a fan of you guys. It's a pleasure to be amongst the new pioneers of film critique and pioneering views. Wow.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. I was saying to and that your critique, whatever you guys were saying earlier on, was lovely. It was one of the most refreshing. You know,
oh, really?
About,
I'm really glad you liked it.
I didn't get to watch all of it, but I watched a good, more than the others, so it was good.
All right, okay. Well, maybe that's why. Maybe because you haven't seen it all. Maybe that's why.
I'll be back.
So jumping right in, I'll ask the first one, and then we'll kind of rotate. So just tell us, how did this story idea come about? I think I read a little bit about it. It was inspired by stories that your uncle would tell you about his time in the Angolan military. I wasn't sure, police force. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm Angolan, number one, and since I was 2 years old, I lived in the UK. So so it's one of those things where when I was in my 30s, I went back to Angola and explore more, and that's where I was talking to my uncles around about that time. So from 30 onwards. So basically, I have several veterans in the army and people that are in the military and the police force, and there, but I do remember because I went to Angola once when I was 4 or 5, and I just remember their presence, because a lot of people don't know, but Angola is a very militant police. Because obviously 35 years or so of war, so it's shaped around kind of like, hey, there's a general there, and there's the police guy there, and I always found that very fascinating, and so when I went back on my 30s, I began asking questions. At this time, I had already been an actor, and I was looking to go behind the camera. So, but little did I know, I wasn't really asking questions to make the film. I was just asking generally, and they were telling me loads of stories that would happen in interrogation situations, and people shoot out some buildings, and just what a general does, and how he had to bullets flying from the air as a general, how you become a general. And so a lot of things, and also I think the main part when you talk about stories of my uncle, and a lot of things were inspired by true events. Like if all of you seen the film, the beginning part, it's completely, it's almost accurate, because bad guys came in. I don't want to give too much plot, but bad guys come in, pregnant woman, couple of people, situation, and someone has to give birth, and all that is true. And just the way they ask for water, that is completely 100% accurate. I just took it from what happened to my uncle and his wife at the time, and my granddad was there, but I didn't put my granddad. But so things like that.
Wow.
Portrayed into a film. Yeah.
That's really cool. So I was thinking, so then you have this idea, and so you start writing the script. Can you just tell us that process, really from script to screen? How did that happen?
Wow, there's a saying I say, from rags to witches. It literally, because there's a bit of witch elements, supposed to be a joke, anyway. But it was one of those things where, okay, so I didn't want to be an actor so much, because all the roles getting was like, because I live in UK, London, it was the black guy, the fuck guy, this guy that talks like a Jamaican slang, so on, and so on. And I'm African, you know, and, you know, Angolan, you know, it's like completely, and I was raised very well. My dad made sure there was none of that, you know. So basically, I kind of got tired of the stereotypical roles as a black youth, you know. I was in my 20s when I was doing acting. So I began searching to create stories, and it was one of those things where, you know, I've never written a script before, and I just wrote little things, you know, like when I went to an acting school, they wanted me to do a role, and I think I forgot the name of the acting school, but I didn't like what they were writing. I was like, come on, you've got really great actors, and it was the first time as an actor I said, let me write something, and so that was the first time I wrote something, and I thought, man, it's better than what this person's doing, and you know, maybe I should do it all into writing. So it started from a long time ago when I thought, okay, let me try and write it. But many people might not know I have also dyslexia. So you can imagine the twists of. So it's a bigger mountain for me for writing a script, because I was like, oh, this dyslexia really does drag you back, kind of thing, and it's been an ongoing thing. But I guess I believed in myself, and I thought, okay, you know what, it's a tough cookie, but I can get through this, kind of thing, you know, just perseverance and persistence, you know. So basically, in Angola, the question was when I started to write the script, right, the originality, right? It was more of a situation where by then I already had my investor. He was a guy called Antonio de la Lelua. He was a governor of a state of Kunene, Luanda, and he was backing me up. And he said, "Look, let's do." I wrote him like a big like essay kind of thing of how we can change, revolutionize the African film and put Angola on the map. This is literally what I wrote, kind of thing. It was like I always think very ambitious, and then they can say, "Hey, really, no, let's just start with this," you know. But I always dream. I'm a big dreamer, kind of thing. And so he was saying, okay, so you want to do this and so on, but I don't think too big. We haven't got a big budget. I think at the time the budget was like $200,000 or something like that. And he's just like, you know, but so he said, like, let's write a film. Should we write a drama, an action, a comedy, and so on, or a kizomba kind of dance film, or kuduru? These dances are very popular musically, but no one's kind of seen the elements of in Angola how it really happens. There's only little YouTube clips of kizomba and so on, and most of it is from people that are teaching outside Angola. So we were looking in the type of genres, but I spoke to my investor, Antonio, and I was like, look, but action, I've never ever seen an action kind of film coming from Africa. And I think people will love it. It's not been done. I referred to Uncle. I said, I have not been done, Uncle. And he's like, but action, I'm a governor, and you're going to put violence. I go, hey, don't worry about it. We can make it PG. So we all decided to make an action film, and I started writing. And it's so great that he believed in me. And it was one of those things where, you just like, so you want to become a writer, you might need to study something. And I was like, yeah. So he put me in a course. I went to a course, Central Film School in London. It was a month course, and it gave a little bit of directing, producing, writing, and just the process kind of thing. And there I met up with lovely people, and I always emailed them. I always called them on the phone. I got their emails address, and then I was just shaping myself. I had to write a film with my dyslexic self, and how to get it as close to a really good script, and loads of YouTube things. A million YouTube things. And I just said, because really I was thinking of hiring someone to write the script. I was like, I'm just going to direct and be a producer. But I said, what? The person that has to tell this story is me. It's an Angolan film. And I'm doing all this work of how things work. And it's about my uncles and my family and so on. And it's like, so I just put myself at the table. I said, let me do it, And it was a tough thing because, like I said, dyslexia was like, how many pages? I'll do 2 pages, But anyway, 110 pages later. So it was one of those things where I just literally, and I do something. I write in my head, and I think I just have this ability of writing loads of pages in my head, putting characters, colors, and scenarios, and literally just imagine a 50-page summary of things, load of notes in my head. That's what I do, kind of thing. So when I was ready to write the script, I wrote it in 2 weeks because it was already in my head, kind of thing. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, I think this dyslexia side has helped a lot because even in school, I was a chess champion for 3 years consecutively, and it's just like I don't have to explain it, but there's a lot of things that happen in my brain that works to the benefit, kind of thing. I can work really fast. So just when I was 14, 15, 16, I was chess champion. That made me believe, oh, I'm actually not dumb, and yeah. But that was the process of writing the film, just getting a lot of stories and just sitting down and say, this will be great, but it's too ambitious. This is 200,000 budget. It's not going to be enough, but I'm going to write it how I want it. And that was the beginning of it.
Wow, thank you for that. That was great. So when did you bring on your co-writer? Because I see that someone else has co-writing credits. Was that to help finesse it? Was that because that person had more experience?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the film around about end of 2012, 2013. And then I went to USA, just made sure some grammars, I had a lovely lady help make sure some grammars and so on was okay. And then I think towards the end of 2013, I was looking for producers and people, because in Angola we might have people that can write and direct, little things like that, but we don't have a massive post-production. We don't even have an RE Alexa camera that shoots the James Bond film. We have a couple of cameras. At that time, we didn't have those type of cameras. So when I met Chris Rowland in South Africa, I had sent my script and he liked it. And eventually, just months before we were going to start filming, we were making little changes and changing some of the scripts. And so he was crucial, just tighten it up. Sometimes it's better if you say less. And he also he put the character of David O'Hara, because I was like, yeah, let's try and put David O'Hara, and he was good friends with kae-kazim, and it just worked out wonders, kind of thing. So he changed it a little bit, and because it was always something I wanted, big stars, but within a good budget, and people that would just want to join. And then kae-kazim, I met him at Chris Rowland's house, and he was just like, dude, I read the script, I'm in, man. It's almost like, he's like, let's do it for Africa, man. We need to join together. It was just like good spirit, pure love, definitely. So Chris Rowland was completely, he has 20 films experience and so on. So it's just like attaching yourself to that, which is really good.
And Chris Rowland is South African, right?
No, he's, there's a lot said in the article. He's American, 100% American. Born, bred, the Eagles fan. He loves Elvis. He's American, yeah. And he's just been there like over 30 plus years. And he's married to a South African woman. And I believe his son was born there as well, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let my co-host, do you have a question?
So for me, you say rags to witches, and that's my question. So what inspired the spiritual elements of the film?
Let's start with the witches. Basically, we're talking about Africa here. If you're African, you know that witches and that type of dark spiritual situation exists, right? It's not even a situation if it does or doesn't. It does in some type of element, kind of thing, from our ancestors to gradually filtering some things now, kind of thing. And it's one of those things where it's not as common, but everyone's aware that this element is real, kind of thing. And I guess when long time ago, when the foreign land people came to Africa and they turned this voodoo into the most worst thing Africa could do. But I think there needs to be a documentary about that. Was it all bad? Was it? Who's telling the story about the voodoo sword? So it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, for me, it's like in Angola, a lot of people might not know, but there's a lot of like mysterious things and witchery that, you know, yeah, and a lot of sad things as well. Like people are sacrificing lives and so on and so on. It's not just in the Caribbean islands where you find that in what's that island where
it's common in Nigeria as well.
Yeah.
Nigerians
Okay,
love themselves some juju, so
juju, of course, some juju,
yes.
and yes. So it's one of those things where you know you need God to protect you in a lot of things, and even God talks about it in a certain way, and so I put that element just so there was always because if you see in the film the Dias Santana has a cross and he's a God believing, but he didn't talk too much of it. I didn't want to go too deep in it, but it was that kind of element, good versus evil. You know, whenever you think in life there's just the normal go to work, there's always something that comes along that it's a lot tougher, and you do need God. So it was that kind of element I put, witchery kind of thing, and yeah, I guess it was. I was experimenting with a lot of things in my first film, and I've learned a lot of things in that because I mean, I would have made The Witch Fly if I could, but the budget. I'm joking. It's not Harry Potter, but yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's just the element of making something exciting, like putting the Danique officers, suiting them up proper and representing Africa. Like, yeah, we got some badass fighters as well.
I think that was one of my favorite elements of the movie in that,
I heard, yeah.
Yeah, the policemen were super professional and they looked like it made them, I know like Nigerian police and I'm not the fondest of them. So I was like, wow, Angolan police look good. And it did actually really leave an impression on me. So yeah, that was really great.
Nah, definitely. A lot of things we come close, but their Danique outfit, that was me going to space there. But yeah, I mean, they do look good, but I had to make them look real good. You know what I mean?
That's the whole point of cinema. You're exporting you're exporting the ideals of your culture. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like 100%. It could be like 99.999.
Exactly. No, definitely.
And I think also you're teaching people, right? So maybe they're looking at it and going, we should look like that, And so.
Exactly. You know what? It's like The Office, where the police stay, where they gather the projection and how they were having the meetings and so on. I'm actually building something that I would love to see, and I think I do know the reality, I mean, I remember I went to one of the police compounds in near where I lived in the city, and it was like a ship container. I was like, oh no, we can't put that one there. No. I was like, this come. I was like, not this one. Let's look for another one. Oh, a bit farther. Oh, this is a big one, and yeah, it looks something like this. So it's literally, filtering out, but yeah, it's Africa and Angola, and since then they've built loads of great stuff in the police, and yeah, so it's just merging in. Yeah, I think they took some hints from me.
Good.
Well, let's talk real quick about your cast. I thought the acting was really great. How did you find them?
Wow, you know what? It's I must be honest. It was a 27-day tight schedule, scene putting scene, and literally sometimes because we had some of the main superstars. If we talk about Hakeem kae-kazim and David O'Hara and Rapalana, which is one of the top South African actors, Rapalana. So sometimes we had to get our Angolan actors that have, some of them, like most of them, have never been in a feature film. It was literally like taking them from a theater base, what they used to, into a feature film. And well, apart from Paulo Americano, who's Dias Santana, and Raul Rosario, who is the general, they've had a bit more. And Nade Van Doon, who's Celia, the police officer, she just had come from Hollywood, and literally a week before casting, she had done 2 or 3 years in. So apart from those two, a lot of them were just like, hey, we just like did some theater. We have 20 years experience. And some of them, like the lady in the red dress, who's dancing at a bar and has an interest with Dia, she never acted in her life. And she was just like, literally, it's like she had 2 personalities. When the camera was on, she was like, I'm so nervous, what am I going to do? And I was like, hey, this is the moment. This is not the time. Did you get on the plane? Yes, I got on the plane. My first time getting on the plane. Okay, now you need to get on this acting right thing. Get the bug right now. And I was like, just like, calm down. And then she just like gave it her all, and you saw what it was. It's just like she did an amazing thing, and that she believes, and she's going to carry on doing it. It's just wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and obviously talking about David O'Hara, which is a legend, Braveheart, The Wanted, and obviously a lot of kids might know from Harry Potter. He just came in and did his stuff, and I mean, I remember the first time he flew in. I was talking to him, and he just literally. We had like hours conversation about the character, and so he went deep. I was like, wow, and it was just, you're learning every single time. You're just like, wow. And it's just like, even things that you didn't think about too much about his character, you have to really think, because it emerges. How does it merge into this so on? And like, it was just brilliant. And kae-kazim, he was just ready, and just like, when Orlando, the chubby, funny guy, Orlando, he was, oh my gosh, bless his heart, he was very nervous. Like literally the first day he was doing acting, he was doing the scene with the interrogation scene, and he was just so nervous. And kae-kazim was like, hey dude, chill, improvise if you have to. We're gonna get this done. Come on, dude, just. And yeah, and he was reading his lines, and a couple of things he was improvising when he said, I should kick this guy's ass. It was like, you just get into the spirit. It's just like, wow, we're keeping that. That was good.
Oh, wow. So did he have any acting experience or no?
No. Like he's actually my cousin, and he lived in London with me and my mom. And I knew he was a funny guy. I actually based the character around him. And his name's actually Orlando also, and the character's name is Orlando. Hey, conspiracy. And yeah, so basically, he didn't want to do it. So I actually did cast for that role, because I based it around him, and I thought, you should try and do it. But he's kind of like going into politics, and he's actually into politics. He works for the Minister of Youth, and he does so many things, coattailing about 2 million people, the youths, and trying to bring change. With the government and MPLA. So he was in the mix like, I want to do these political things, but you want me to be a film actor? Like, just try. And literally the last 2 days of the casting, because it was like 2 weeks casting, he was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And he was just blowing me and Chris Roller away. He made us laugh. He was like, yeah, let's put a bit of this. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a great story. Ibiemi, I know you had a couple of questions also that you wanted to ask.
Yeah, okay, so there's quite a bit of sex and nudity, which traditionally from an African perspective, I mean, let me speak for Nigeria, it's not something that is easily done or that is overtly done or is done at all, actually, now that I think about it. Was that easy? First of all, why do you think it was necessary? Was it a conscious decision? Because there was a bit of it. Was it a conscious decision? Why? And was it easy? And was it like in Angola? People like really like down for that ish and not very spiritual, like I bind Satan in this movie type thing. What was it? What was it like?
Wow. Basically,
and I don't like. Can I just say I don't like how you guys left me to ask that question. By the way, Tolu, because I'm not going to look like I was particularly interested.
Question.
But Maradona, you carry on.
Definitely. Basically, yeah, there are 3 sex scenes in the film. You know what? When I started writing the film, I just thought, I knew it was gonna be like PG, and I just thought, hey, let's have fun with this. Let's put these scenarios, and I knew there was a chemistry with along the line as I started writing the film with the General and Tandy. So I thought it would be nice, because a little secret is the lines he was giving about, hey, you have to trust the man and let the man lead. This is how I used to talk to the girls back in the day. And so I thought, let's just show them what happens, because a lot of people, especially in UK and around the world, they don't know much about kazomba, and you have to teach them, kind of thing. And it's one of those things, regardless if you're a feminist, if you dance a kizomba, the guy has to lead, And it's one of those things where it's just like, and that's how the format it's done, the guy leads and you follow, and it's such a beautiful thing. But the woman leads in a different way, kind of thing. She's taking directions and then she's transforming things in another way, and she might get the guy to do something else. So
hallelujah.
Yeah, it was just one of those synergy of kizomba kind of thing. And I'm not really a good kizomba dancer, but I know to just slowly, and I'm like, hey, so I knew from that scene there, it could lead to another thing, because it's beautiful music, beautiful chemistry when you dance kizomba. So I thought, yeah, naturally that's one scene there. And obviously, Dias Santana and the lady in the red dress. Oh wow, trust me, even with the general, the biggest criticism with the general is like, how could this general not wax before he did that scene? I was like, what the hell? Angola, they go deep in criticism. They're like, they should have waxed. I'm like, how do you know what a general's ass looks like? And they're like, it's too dark. It was too dark. And I was like, literally, we did try and darken it a little bit, but he was like, yeah, they want to see the line and everything. I was like, hey, PG, calm down. Yeah, we're trying to tame it down a little bit. And they're like, no, why is his face lighter than his? I was like, no, come on now. This is a discussion to have. We have critics and we have critiques, Yeah, so it's really funny. We're getting different elements of criticism on that, but it's not too much of the scene, the sex scene itself. It's more like, what are they seeing? They're seeing too much of this. And I'm like, okay. I was like, just put the blankets next time.
Interesting. So, okay, so you were informed it was just the storyline of that particular scene that led into it, or the scenes that led into the sex scene. So it wasn't a deliberate shock factor or anything.
It wasn't.
Right, okay.
Because you know what? I guess when you're telling the usual Hollywood story, they go out, they take the girl back to the house, and it's like, hey, when am I going to see you? And then things postpone from there. In Angola, it's very different. We have music, we have kizomba. It's like when you, some of the, in kizomba, when you go to a club, literally, you're going to have hardly any women rejecting you to dance, because they love dancing, number one. And number two, it's for most gentlemen, it's the only way to get to know a woman. And if you're a really good dancer, that's just like, so I was trying to transcend this into the film in a sort of way, kind of thing. But obviously it's far-fetched, she's already in the house and stuff. But kizomba is a way of interacting, and like it's a social media. Okay, and bloop, yeah.
Right, okay.
That's why maybe a lot of people said that you should have a kizomba music, because to really get down deep and...
Do you know that, because... Yeah. That was the next thing I was going to say, because you've mentioned it a few times now, and you mentioned it with a lot of pride and energy, and even I'm interested. I'm African, and the first time I heard about kazomba was in that movie, and you've described it so well, and you mentioned, So it would actually be interesting to see something along those lines, talk about maybe the history, or I don't know, maybe bring some romantic comedy or something along the lines of kazomba. I think would be amazing.
Would you be interested in watching something like that?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
Because I think it has the ability to do a couple of things, which is one, sell this dance and make it even a worldwide thing. I'm sure it's popular in some places, but it's an opportunity to sell some part of the culture. But also, if it's particularly important to the fabric of socializing and boy meets girl in Angola, then it's perfect for a setup. It's perfect to set up a story around it.
Nah, definitely.
That sounds interesting.
Because in UK, I mean, I've been to there's kizomba festivals. There's like, I went to a kizomba festival. My cousin Carlos was organizing with his team, and literally 3,000 people, 4,000 people came just for. I mean, there's salsa. I mean, the biggest thing in the world, I think, is salsa, right? Everyone knows about salsa. It's been for a long time. Then there's kizomba, which is like close by, and it's just like crazy. And literally, like loads of women asked me to dance, and I'm like, I can't really dance, but everyone came from every aspect of the world, Russia, Latvia, Germany, for this Kazomba festival. And I was like, really? It's that? Wow. And I was asking questions, like, like you do, like, why do you like Kazomba? Because, yeah, I just feel the music and how I have to move my body, and it just makes me feel really good. I'm like, wow, okay, have to do a film.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I'm just on the same topic of Kazumba and the theme of the movie. So you made a conscious decision to do an action movie versus you spent the last sort of couple of minutes and have touched on Kazumba and this, this
Kizomba, I
element of
think.
the culture. Is it Kazumba, Kazumba?
Kizomba.
Kizomba, right, that's it.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon. Right, Kizomba. So in my head, the question is, but so why did you choose action over this other option? Why? Is it because you had someone who had the experience to maybe write or film or shoot or edit an action movie? Was that why, or was it just like a decision that you made based on what you thought was easier to do or something?
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, I had never met anybody in any type of production or in the movie industry. I wrote an action drama thriller film by myself, and this is what I wanted to pursue, number one. And the data I had was that these type of films I have never seen in Africa. I haven't seen them. So I knew that I was going to be one that is the latest, and they're going to dig up one that I haven't seen. So it was one or the other. And it's one of those things where we happen to be the first in this genre to do it like this kind of thing. And I'm proud. I like just in Angola, like we're the first film in Angola to be on Netflix, and the second film in the whole African Portuguese continent to be on Netflix after Mozambique. So it's just like the whole world, the whole world received this and wanted to look into this because it's never happened before, really. Well, lately anyway. So I do it, and I knew a lot of African countries do their dramas, and some have won Oscars and so on and so on. And I just thought, let me start off with something that will make a blip, a sore thumb in Africa. People can't ignore this no more. And surprisingly, we picked, me and my investor, picked the right film to do, and it has had the right effect. As you can see, it's been number one several times, and in Netflix, and it was just mind blowing.
I have a quick follow-up question, sorry, which is one of the other questions that we had before. So it's interesting you say that because there's some elements of the film that we thought Nollywood, for example, which is what we kind of spend lots of our time on, Nollywood could learn from, and one of those was the action sequences, which we thought. I mean, I looked at them like, all right, okay, this is interesting. This is believable. I thought they were very well shot. And the other thing as well was well choreographed. And the other one, which you sort of touched on at the start of the conversation as well, was that it looked like it was done on a relatively big budget. So you mentioned something about $200,000 being not a lot of money. Now, I'm not in film, I just watch, so I don't know what a big budget is or what a small budget is. But those are two things that I think, from a Nollywood consumer perspective, this movie definitely stands out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just on that $200,000 remark, it was something that when I even first started writing the script, but obviously we co-produced this film with South Africa, Zen HQ, and Chris Rowland and myself and my company Giant Sables Media Entertainment. So it got to the couple of millions. So it was like a multi-million-dollar production, and we were able to do so much and have these great actors and have two countries being filmed and logistically make it work because we had a little backing there, and I think just referring to Nollywood, my investors, Antonio de la Lelwa, who passed away in 2016. He and his wife, Jardina de la Lelwa, who's the current governor of Cunene, they loved watching Nollywood film. That is all. Nollywood is inspiration for me right now. No, I have to tell this. No, it's true. They used to come to UK, and I used to drive Antonio de la Lelwa's wife, and we used to eat and so on. But they would make me go to Brixton Market in London and get loads of DVDs of Nollywood kind of thing. So they would get literally, every time they come for a week or two, they would get 150 films.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it wasn't 1, 2, 10. They would get 150. They would watch 3 a day. They loved Nollywood film. And I'm telling you, it's in Angola, it's a big thing. Some people have the channel, the Nollywood channel, and everyone knows that in Nigeria, especially, you guys are one of the best storytellers, you know? Whether technically some films are not there, or the audio or the picture, but no one cares about that. The story is the most gripping thing. And I've seen loads of films, you know? And so my investors understood that. So I used to bring all these films, and that's when I said, hey, you know what? I love Nollywood films. Well, why don't we do our own? Stop spending your money, you know. I'm joking. No, I was like, let's do our own kind of thing. And it was the start of a conversation, but it started with me noticing that they loved African films, especially Nollywood. And they love more drama, more the woman who's going to cheat on her husband, or the husband who's very powerful, or the cheat. Exactly. They love the drama because you know some films I've seen that Nigerians know how to overreact and really give the African. I love it. You know, it's not even it's what it needs in the film. Otherwise, it won't be a success. You know, that mama has to overreact. She has to wave her hands. So you know, Angolas love Nollywood film, and we learned each other, and it was inspired actually through that. And yeah.
Wow.
Would you be interested in doing like a co-production with a Nigerian production, like a Angola-Nigerian production? You think it's something you're interested in doing?
You know what? That's the first time anyone has asked me that. I would love to. I would love to. Nigeria is, especially in UK, it's like the mother town of Africa. You know, I think there's more Nigerians in UK than any other African descendant, and even in the world, there's such a big population. You know, so I think, I mean, Nigeria. Come on, it's like
we are everywhere.
They're everywhere, and they have one of the best stories. You know what? Nigeria is not so different from Angola. The stories you guys come out with, and it's more fiction, more character based in terms of relationships and my brain's so Portuguese. Deceitful people and betrayal and so on. Angola is exactly the same, even more scandalous sometimes, you know, because you have to add. I mean, Nigeria, you have chiefs, you have a lot of people who, in the village and the structure. Angola, we have generals, and we have oil, and we have diamond, and we have this, and it's just like that fuel. Whatever Nigeria has, they have oil and so on, just like Nigeria. I think Nigeria and Angola are on par in terms of oil production kind of thing. I think Nigeria's in the top. So it's the same drama. It's the same drama politically, so on. And it's just obviously when we go back to the colony, you know, we were colonized by the Portuguese, and I think Nigeria was more the British Commonwealth. You know, so that's the only difference. So that's why we speak Portuguese, we speak English, and I think it's beneficial that the English kind of thing in the Hollywood, the American market, the English market, and Portuguese. That's why I had a lot of element of English in my film, because I wanted to transcend that kind of thing. And I think but the Portuguese language is beautiful, and it has this attitude, because even Raul Rosario, who's played Matias, the general, he has this Antonio Banderas kind of swagger toward him. Yeah, and I was like, use that.
Well, I appreciate it.
And I was like, you don't have to say too much. Talk through your eyes. This is what people are gonna love about you. You don't have to say too much. Cut these lines. Let's go. And he's like, and yeah. So he was one of the most talked about in terms of how he looked and so on. I was like, yeah, we tried out Antonio Banderas with him, and with Diaz Santana, it was one of those things where I was like, hey, let's pick Arnold Schwarzenegger for you or Clint Eastwood because yeah,
He did it well.
yeah. Let's just go with that theme there.
Wow, it's so interesting to hear all this backstory. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many funny things because the actors from Angola had to travel to South Africa, and it was just like the biggest holiday. It was like Ibiza. I would have to tell them, stay in your hotel, don't go out. They go, no, we're just gonna rave it till 4. I'm like, no, you start at 6. It was like, I mean, especially Orlando. Orlando was the cheeky big.
Okay, yeah.
He was like the chief of going out at that time. Like, dude, yeah. Oh man, I was like, no. I can do it. Don't worry.
Africa is not for small kids.
No, exactly. And he's actually only 30s. He's only 30s. And a lot of people think he was younger.
Yeah, he was about like 28. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's about 30 now.
Let's talk about you for a quick second. So this is your first time film. This is your first time feature. I mean, had you done short films before then? And how are you feeling helming this really ambitious project?
You know what? To be quite honest, I knew I didn't really need as much experience. I just had to have the will to do something and to do it because, like I said earlier on, the person I wanted to tell this story and to do it had to be me, kind of thing. And I've always been waiting to be cast in roles when I was an actor, and never happened. It's always a time thing now, you know. And I just knew I had to get behind the camera and tell stories and really, you know, change the dynamic. And that's why, I think 2012, I was in a film called Red Tails. It was a George Lucas film with a director called Anthony Hemingway. And he was a black director. And it was the first time I saw a black director. It was a big 100 million production. There was like Neo, the singer, Terrence Howard, Cuban Jr., Nate Parker. What's that guy who did Creed, who's in Black Panther?
Michael J.
Michael J. Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. I saw all of these guys literally every day on set kind of thing, and I was just I was driving one of those old World War cars kind of thing, and that was my background job, I guess. But I just loved the fact that it was a black director, and I was like, wow, there's black directors doing it. Films like George Lucas, and I also saw George Lucas on set, and I was like, hey, do you want to lift? It's like, no, I'll walk. I'm like, damn, I could have got that one. And then, so that kind of like opened my eyes to go, wow, black people are doing big things like this. And that's from that day I saw it was a black director. I was like, I want to try and do this. I want to be in this position. And it was just so beautiful, and it was just like it inspired me. And I also met a stunt person called Daniel, and he was just like, yeah, follow your dreams, keep pushing. Things are not easy, but it might take a couple of years. And it's just those two things. And Daniel was actually the person that introduced me to Chris Rowland in South Africa. So it all ties along with, I kept contact. I was like, okay, I'm gonna. Yeah. And these are the type of things. Daniel and Paul Hampshire, they were both the stuntmen. They kept saying, look, you have to work very hard. If you want to get a casting agent or an agent, you have to send 300 emails or 500 emails and send it 3 times in a year and knock on everyone's door, at least 50 people's door, at least 100 people. And they were talking like, whoa. I was like, they let me know that things are not easy, but the chances get bigger when you do so much of something, and you can't just have passion talking about it. And so I had a lot of water in terms of good energy of what I had to do, and that kind of shaped my life a little bit. Like yeah, I just started putting all in. I'm like, hey,
So for me, I have a quick question. Is there anything you would change about the movie, or you feel that you could have done differently, looking back at it and looking at the complete work and getting some feedback from it?
That's a good question. I think, yeah, this is one of the aspects of being a director or producer. You always wanted, literally, like I wanted to carry on editing the film forever if I could. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's like you have to let go. I remember when the editing booth, and it was one of those things where the film was a bit too long, and I didn't want to let go of scenes. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. And it's like sometimes you just have to trust, and the person say, hey, look, I have to let go of certain things. So saying that, it just makes me change my mind about if I wanted to change something. I just have to let it go. It's like a baby. It's been born. It's out there, and the next production, this is where I won't get into situations when the film's too long, when I have to cut scenes. I will put the scenes where it can't be taken out. It has to be, the focus has to be in making it all compact and nicely and not overrunning and so on. But I guess the action scenes, I guess I would have divulged more deeply in it, made it more like, going into deep and more scenes of, the fighting, kind of a bit more kind of thing, and I think it was just a taste of where I want to take it, but by all means, it's not where I want to take it. I didn't take it as much kind of thing, but in the next films, I'm going to go deep into like how the Danique move and so on and so on. It'll be like a top Hollywood action scene completely. I'm going to like go hard, because that's one of the things that the Angolan audience, that's like, hey, you should have gone a bit harder. Yeah, I agree, but the budget and the timings and everything had to be like, all these things go against kind of thing. And it's like, it's a really tight budget because, my script was like, there was a lot of explosions. There was even a scene in the building, and I had to cut a lot. Diaz falls back down. He goes into a water pit and he's shooting. Shots get. I was like, they say, hey, Maradona, you know budget, no, amigo. It's a budget, low. Okay, I'm trying to do something. Give me a small building. I'm like, no, this is not Die Hard. This is not,
Part 2.
Yeah. So I obviously money is important in anything, but I think you can just use it in a different way, kind of thing, and make the character more. Yeah, so I've learned a lot of things, and I guess overall the actors, the Angolan actors, they gave it their best. It was just, I can imagine the pressure they had of, they went on set with 100 people and 20 people in the room and so on. It's just, but they did massively well. But obviously, when you look at the top actors like David O'Hara, kae-kazim, and Rapalala, people that have been doing it for so long and great at what they do. We have a lot to live up to and a lot to learn about, and it's just like, I talked to the Ministry of Culture in Angola, and I was like, hey, you know what? An actor can't be worried about what his son's going to eat and do 8 months of a different job and then go back to acting for 2 weeks to try and get his passion. I go, either he does one or the other, or he is able to do more the other of his passion and be able to grow from that. Because this is, I guess Nigeria is the same position, a lot of people can't just be actors throughout, kind of thing. And especially if you're starting out, and especially if you haven't had a film like my film, and there was only 14, 15 top actors I could use, and there's the whole thousands of people that wanted to do it, and it's like I'm trying to build Angola would, and it can't just come from me, Maradona. What I've done, it's nice. It couldn't have done it by myself. We worked with Angolans and we worked with South Africa, but we have to be in a position where even Nigeria with the production, they're making films, and it's not about how great it is, multi-millions, but they're making films. They started, you know, they're on that pathway, and I love that about Nigerian, you know, I love it because it's like it's a self-supported industry, you know, and it's just brilliant. And we Angola have to learn from before we even get to Hollywood. Let's learn from Nigeria. Do you know what I'm saying? Good content, because you guys tell good stories. No one can take that from you, and we have to get there. People have to just, if it's guerrilla style, pick up a camera, get someone with the mic, and he's learning as well. But these people get better. Like in Nigeria, a lot of people that started off like that are great, and you know, and it's just one of those things we have to learn from.
No, so I was just talking about, like, there is some kind of creative industry.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, like there are some individuals, like you're talking about Jukulo Mesa, and Jukulo Mesa was a big series, TV series that was done in Angola. But there was one before, was called Windek.
Okay.
But yeah, so it has, but it's very individual people. There's not a film industry. We're very much disorganized in having an industry and what it will take, because you need funding and you need a type of organization, and you need cameras and a post-production place, and otherwise you're gonna have to keep going outside of your country. And we just, even you need someone to focus pull, you know, to put the focus. You need a lot of things to make a film. So if you don't have all the elements, you're gonna have to do with short-handing things, and this is what I'm realizing. We need an industry, you know. I mean, South Africa clearly are number one for the film industry and the tourism when it comes to that aspect. And I guess Nigeria and Angola can learn from that, but it's just done in a different way. There's a lot of funding, you know. There's a lot of funding for films, and it brings, like, for every dollar we used in South Africa, they would give us a percentage back, kind of thing, you know, as an incentive kind of thing. So you spend 100,000, we'll give you 20,000 back. You spend, you know, it was like, wow. So that's why we were able to get better actors and top actors and be able to do other things, because it was an incentive. But I mean, for me, Angola have to realize that if we keep spending our money outside, we're not benefiting, you know. And I guess it's same for Nigeria, and that's something I'm really, really trying to focus on, for not just myself as a filmmaker, but for the country, for filmmakers.
Yeah, I've got an idea for your next script. I think you should do a Nigerian Angolan production about oil and the oil money, and I would so watch that. I would be there with
and Kizumba.
Kizumba, yeah.
Kizumba.
Kizumba thrown in there. That would be.
That is true.
So you kind of alluded to next steps, you know, the success, and you should be writing the success of this on Netflix. It's shown that there's an appetite for it. It's shown clearly that you've done good work. Mm-hmm. Also, the end of Santana suggests that there might be a sequel. So what next? Is it that? You also mentioned things like you want to do it again, or you want to do more of it, or you want to do more action. You know, what's the next story you want to tell about Angola? What's the next story? Is it more of Santana or something else?
Well, in my head, I have like 8 feature films, and it's just like, wow. But what's happening right now with Santana, it's just every other day I get a message on Instagram from various countries from Europe, Africa, Brazil, even India, and Bangladesh, telling me about how they love the film, and if there's going to be, they don't ask me, they say there has to be Santana too. And in Angola, especially in Angola, everyone's like, hey, I want to be part of the casting in the second Santana. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like you said, you know, there has to be you said that it indicates that there's going to be a part 2 where you left it. And I left so many open ends in the film with even Celia, how is she, and how the general, what can happen to him, and so on. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and I would love to make part 2. And it's one of those things where I guess things have gone well with Netflix, and had an astounding 2 weeks. I mean, being number one in over 30 countries in the world, you know, like Portugal, Brazil, France, Argentina. It goes on and on and on, you know, and Australia, and just like we got to, I think, 5th or 6th in the USA, but Nigeria were like number one 4 days in a row. It's like, yeah, it's just like, wow, thank you, Nigeria. You know, it's one of those things where Angolan films or Angolan co-production with South African films is in this kind of like situation no one's ever backed to put a film like this in the cinema yet, kind of thing. It's so new. So the question is, were we going to be able to make a killing in the cinemas if the cinemas would have allowed us? You know, but now things have changed since 28th of August. People know that this is the film that could be number one. So people will watch the same way you see the trailer on Netflix, the same way you see the poster, and you read the caption is the same way you could do it by a trailer on YouTube or on TV, or you're in the cinema and it says this film's going to come out next week. And this is, so there's plenty of opportunity to kill it with these type of films kind of thing. So I think that's changed. So the way I see my future films is like, wow, I could put it in a cinema and people will enjoy it. But right now, Santana would be the most, because a lot of people are asking it. But I would love to do it because of the film. I would love to do a drama-based film. And there's actually a film that I want to do about my grandparents. My grandma Avotete, my granddad Lazaro. My granddad Lazaro Martin, he's from Santo Tomé Principe. He's not Angolan, but he's Santo Tomé Principe. And I wanted to tell the story of how they had 16, 17 kids in a small house, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and how they went from province to province, and they're suffering, and you know, it's just a beautiful story.
All right. So thank you so much. This was really a great conversation. Thank you, Maradona. This was awesome. Thanks for
very much.
Thank you
Thank you
guys very much. Really interesting questions. Keep supporting Santana. Go in IMDb, score it. It's really simple, and yeah, just show your support.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we shall.
We look forward to seeing more from you.
Nah, definitely. Maybe in a week or two time, we have another conversation of more good news, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.